Welcome to the All New Marvel Roundup, the Southgate Media Group guide to the Marvel Comics of the week. As always, I am Phil&rsquo, and with me is...
Charlie, yes, sir.
Alright, Charlie, what did you read this week?
Okay, well, let's start off with last week, because I did not get the chance to pick up Squadron Supreme because of the large number of books that Marvel is giving us this week, where books are having to get spread out. So Squadron Supreme was one that I picked up. I didn't pick up last week, but I got this week. And next week we're going to have Hercules, which I didn't pick up this week, but I'll pick up next week, and probably Silver Surfer 2. It gets confusing. And then I still have Illuminati from last week. So yeah, Marvel, you got to pace yourself or work this out a bit better. Call me. We'll coordinate the release schedule, okay, Marvel? Because this hurts you as much as it hurts me. That's all I'm saying. So when last we left the Squadron Supreme, Captain America, well, I'm sorry, Steve Rogers, we'll get to that later at Super Connectivity, had returned, had his Unity Squad there and was confronting Nighthawk, who Deadpool says, "Are you supposed to be a hawk? You look like a bat, if you ask me." Winking right out the camera there. Anyway, and of course, Nighthawk in classic Batman fashion is like analyzing the team, their strengths and weaknesses, and you have, he says, Steve Rogers, Captain America, formerly, still a force to be reckoned with, even as an old man. And again, I gotta say, and this is, again, something we'll get to in Super Connectivity, consistency, please, with Steve. He's an old man. Yeah. Yes, he is still ninja fast, but come on, man. Let's call a shelter half an entrenching tool. Anyway, so but runs through the whole gamut. Has no idea what to make of Deadpool. Also sees Johnny. Also sees that Synapse is an unknown quantity because he hasn't really had the chance to research her yet. And he does acknowledge that Dr. Voodoo is a problem. But he sends out the call to the squadron, and we see Hyperion come, and the Blur and Dr. Spectrum, and it's actually a very, very kind of sweet scene. It's a nice scene here between Dr. Spectrum, not between them, but you have the opposite. You have the Blur who visits Pittsburgh, and is kind of moved to tears because Pittsburgh was, of course, very famously destroyed at the end of the new universe. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, Dr. Spectrum is back in Egypt, but she says she always goes to Egypt, and she can't understand how they could let Egypt be in ruins, because I guess in her world, Egypt never fell. It was a glorious paradise where they had crews that maintained the Sphinx and the pyramids so that they were still covered in white limestone and look gorgeous. Meanwhile, in Toronto, Ontario, Barda is dealing with Mordred the Mystic. I have to do research on him to find out exactly how bad of a bad guy he is. When she gets the call and realizes that she has to leave, which is kind of annoying to her, but Nighthawk is doing something, so let's go deal with it. Cap says, because Cap is confronting Hyperion, says they murdered Namor. Spectrum says, and Namor murdered my whole planet. And clearly this was something Steve was not aware of. And Steve says, if that's true, then he should have been held accountable for his actions, but execution isn't the answer. Wholesale slaughter isn't the way. To which Deadpool says, it isn't? Oops, did I say that out loud? Anyway, battle ensues. And of course, first things, and Nighthawk takes on the scrawny old man. But of course, first he shoots gas bombs at Dr. Voodoo to take him out, and battle ensues. Thundra and Tyndall are watching to see how they manage. Synapse takes control of Dr. Spectrum. But then Quicksilver moves out of the way because Barda basically crashes her ship into the middle of the fight. because practicality, and nearly kills Nighthawk as an example in this, and quite frankly, nearly kills Dr. Spectrum too, because you can see they're like, oh, right there, she's smashing down on top of them. It's like, Barda, not a very good Warriors move. And Quicksilver says, who would do this? And Barda says, why me? Of course, this is war, isn't it? To which Deadpool says, hello, my name is Wade. I like long strolls on the beach, lobster, macaroni and cheese, and naked twister. Want to play? Oh, boy. Meanwhile, the Blur and Quicksilver are having a race around the world, punching each other the whole time. As T ran off, he had said cryptically to Nighthawk 762A. And as they run back, this was Nighthawk establishing or putting up a wall for Quicksilver to smash into. Invisible polymer, he says. And then, so the fight's going pretty well. Well, it looks like it's actually, you really never see the squadron really have a major advantage over the team, but you see that they seem to be turning the tide when all of a sudden, a big burst of flame, hits Hyperion and he goes down. But they're like, wait, if Johnny Storm was already out, who could have hit him? And then you see, oh, it's Jim Hammond. And he makes this great point about that he can also make his flames radioactive. He also has an entire squadron of S.H.I.E.L.D. behind him. And he says, difference between me and Johnny Storm is I can make my flames radioactive. Non-lethal to you, Hyperion, although it looks like you felt it. But what about the others? You're good at fighting superheroes. How good are you at fighting cancer? Yeah, real out cold, but a real kick butt line. And then Thundra says, "Sorry, Agent Hammond, you can have them. You can't have them. They're needed elsewhere. A world is at stake." And then Tyndall opens the portal, and zoom to Weird World we go. Foul intruders, this day you die. So swellers Archon, as he rides the flying dragon towards them. And the Blur says, "Oh, brother." Really a fun book, a great book. I'm liking the way they're handling it. It's going to be interesting to see now that they've been ripped off of Earth to Weird World. I really want to see how Thunder plays in this. So she's actually one of my all-time favorite obscure characters. So I'm really glad that she is going to be a part of this story, and I really hope she plays out well. And Barda, I don't know. I would not shed a tear if Barda gets replaced by Thunder, since he's already planning on selling people out and is a vampire. So, Squadron Supreme, thumbs up.
Cool. All right. Well, since that was last week, I'll go with the book I got from last week, Scarlet Witch #2. It begins in Greece, where there's a minotaur stalking the streets and killing people. Charlie,
isn't it always the way?
Yeah, but we'll see where this minotaur comes from. But it's the Greek island of Santorini, because Wanda the Scarlet Witch comes over, arrives, and she came to see who's this? I guess some kind of goddess, and the goddess Hecate.
Hecate.
Because she's looking for her wisdom. Because she's like, oh, you're not here for the Minotaur? She's like, no. The Scarlet Witch is a vegetarian. I guess she said she doesn't eat meat. She doesn't drink wine because it would go bad with her medication. And Hecate says, "Are you sick?" And she goes, "Honestly, it's for treating depression."
Yeah.
Because Hecate's like, so no meat or alcohol? She's like, yeah, I'm super fun at dinner parties. So they sit down to eat, and
let's just say, you got to be careful with your meds, and I'm glad to see that Wanda is on medication, and B, that they're not really stigmatizing the medication per se. The idea that being on medication is a bad thing, they're actually presenting it. You understand why Wanda is on medication. You can see how it how it's a good thing. So way to go, Marvel.
So she doesn't wipe out a species.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
so she doesn't wipe out a species.
Yeah,
So
they're good for you.
Yeah, so they're sitting down talking, and Hecat's like asking her about Hercules and what she says. Because one asks her, why are you just running this cafe? She goes, it's all I need for now. Of course, I might change my mind in a year or a week and decide to take over the world again, or become a superhero like Venus and her half brother Hercules. Heirs too until we die. She goes, by the way, how is Hercules? Still loud and annoying? And Wanda's like, nah, he's not so bad, but we've never been close. I have no idea what he's up to. So she tells Hecate she needs her wisdom because there's something wrong with magic, and she goes, it feels broken to you, and Hecate's like, yes, it has for a while. She says, as I said, I haven't cast a hex or conjured or foretold in many moon. My ties to the craft lie sleeping like air's own dead soul. She goes, witchcraft in the world, I have no idea. This island, however, I can still sense it here. Something magical abides. It is dark and deadly. So one is like, I assume you mean this Minotaur you spoke of? And Hecate's like, yes. The Minotaur walks the streets, looking, hunting. It's killed Taurus, and Wanda says, gracious, why hasn't someone called the Avengers? And Hecate's like, I thought someone had, and that's why you were here. What about the Greek army? They came, they failed. Mercenaries continue to look for it, although less come with each one the Minotaur slaughters. And Wanda's like, what about the superheroes of this country? And Hecate says, John Ajax, Greece's own Captain America, they buried him last week.
Oh.
Yeah. So I guess Wanda decides to take a look. And she says, oh, since it attacks in the dark, I guess I'll take a stroll. And that's when she runs into the Minotaur. And she says, I see you, I have sight, the witch's sight. She's like, I see your evil, I see your pain, and more importantly, I see you for who you really are. He goes, I am Minotaur. She goes, no, you've been enchanted somehow. Someone has hexed you, made you invisible to everyone but me. She goes, but that's not who you are. She goes, your real name is William Torrens, also known as Man-Bull. You were altered scientifically. At best, you're a second-rate supervillain. So someone took Man-Bull and mystically enhanced him.
And he took out Greece's Captain America?
Yeah, well, I guess cause now he got that mystical upgrade.
Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, yeah, because you can't see him. So, yes.
Yeah.
I see.
So they start battling, starts casting some spells to defeat the beast within. A hex from Truvahani of my homeland, linked to me by my birth and blood for added power, and linked to animals, the oneness my people have always shared, to purge him of the rank-based enchantment that envelops him. So she gets rid of the Minotaur enchantment, so he goes back to being a regular Man-Bull, and he's like, no, what have you done? I was a god. He's like, yeah. He was like, I had the powers of the gods. He's like, now I'm just William Torrens, big ugly Bill from Camden, New Jersey, and you made me a freak again, not a god, a joke, a second-rate freak. So he charges her, and of course he goes over the cliff into the ocean chart.
Yeah.
So then at dawn, we see Scarlet Witch talking to the ghost of Agatha Harkness again. She's like, one is like, oh, you startled me, and Agatha's like, so I'm dead, remember? I have so few pleasures, allow me some fun. They're talking about who, what's up with whole magic conspiracy and who could have enchanted Man-Bull, but I guess magic is taking its cost on Wanda just like it is on Doctor Strange, because she's like, the mirror shows me how my spells are aging me. She's like, how soon I'll die, even to the outside world, I still look young.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if it's going to be revealed, like at the end of this, that Agatha Harkness's ghost isn't speaking with her, but that it's just a hallucination again.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah, and she's saying they have to find whoever entranced Man-Bull and whoever had the strength to take on the Greek army. She's like, that took big magic. And then on the last page, we have some guy with a streak of white through his hair. I don't know who he is, but he took out Hecate. He took out a goddess, so he's someone to be reckoned with.
That's not the Emerald Enchanter?
It might be. He's wearing green.
Yeah. Because this all ties into that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because remember, it was the hate spell that he brought up from in the last issue.
So yeah, good call. So that probably is him. He took, but he has power to take out a goddess. And next issue, when Irish eyes are smiling. So I don't know if Wanda's going to Ireland now.
Well, gonna fight him on his home turf.
Maybe, but this was a good issue, just like the first issue. Thumbs up.
Very good, very good. I wonder if there is going to be a tie-in between the what's going on in Hercules with the panicked, mythological beings. What's going on here with the death of magic, and what's going on in Doctor Strange. If it's all going to tie together, or if they're actually just three separate deaths of magic that each one is fighting right now.
I don't know. I'm smelling crossover, Charlie.
Yeah, well, it would be interesting, although it also kind of makes that interesting side aspect, the idea that the universe is always dying, and that's why there are so many superheroes, because if there weren't, then, the Avengers are off over there, something else would happen. Sort of like what they touched on in the Gwenpool backup story, which is like, you can't just count on the Avengers to fix the problems, because, they're probably off-world,
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of off-world and problems that we're going to have, let's go to New Avengers. Avengers 20XX Assemble. We don't know when 20XX is. I'm guessing it's not 2020, but, actually you can sort of guess it actually is some point about 20 years in the future or so, because we see who are the Avengers in this future era. You have, let's see here. You have You have Marlene Brashear, positive negative energy projector. Obviously, a relation to the Blue Marvel wearing a old Ms. Marvel costume. The Vision, Victor Shade, who, if I'm not mistaken, that's Ultron's son, right? Who took over Vision's body at some point in the Runaway story.
I think so.
Yeah. Collapsar, Manu Chawan. Size-changing spacecraft. He's a member of the Nova Corps who apparently has access to PIM particles. Iron Mariner, who is Jakku Krangson, Amphibious Armored Avenger. Namorina, Dorma Mackenzie, Atlantean royalty, obviously daughter of Namor. King Hulk, which is Teddy Altman, shape-changing space monarch. And Thor Odinson, deceased. And they are fighting formerly Billy Captain, now Demiurge, who is possessed by, what was his name? I forget his name. The Cthulhu space god of the sixth cosmos, or the fifth cosmos. And we see that Danielle Cage, Unbreakable, is now Captain America. And you have Madam Natasha, director of the Avengers Initiative. They all hop in a time machine, because, that's what you have to do when you're fighting a demiurge god of destructive power, who literally breaks the sky. And you see that sort of like the sky literally falls and cracks and shatters into glass. They go back to the past. We see in Tokyo there's a high-tech heist, to which Hawkeye is shooting bows and arrows at it. Sure. These are the Whisper agents, because now that AIM are good guys, someone had to take over the evil super scientist field. We see the Maker, who is the head of Whisper, coordinating this and he makes this really great the statement. It says, "It's the science in this reality, the natural laws. They're just not what I'm used to. Everything's less practical here, more flamboyant, more fantastic. Isn't that right, City?" And his giant robot says, "Who is City? I am Omnitronicus, Organo-Mecho-Nexus, Iterated Techno-Radical Organizational Network Intelligence Computer Unity System." Of course you are, says the Maker. Says, "Well, there are other realities, and the means don't matter. Only the end, the bold work of map-making, of unification. But in the meantime, we really have to do something about the new Avengers." So Power Man has new Chi Vision goggles that do a direct download of knowledge into his brain of the city and its history, because of course the more he knows about a place, the stronger he gets. Because the more he can manipulate the chi, although it doesn't give him as much of a power boost as he thought, because of course it's a shortcut. White Tiger goes on the attack, and let's see here. They're working on a time machine, and they have everyone working hard on it, including Tippy Toe, who is colorblind, and we see puts a green plug in a red hole, because although there were only enough... Oh, yeah, I see. So, yeah, she's got one green... No, actually... Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay, so those two are reversed. The one green and a red and one red and a green causes a short circuit in the time platform, which is... It has the accuracy... It was supposed to have the accuracy of a Doom model, but with better energy efficiency, because, you know, we want to be green with our time machines. And speaking of green, out comes the Avengers of 20XX to do battle, because they have to go to the past to defeat Demiurge before he becomes Demiurge. But of course, Billy Kaplan is already corrupted by the Demiurge, and he makes the point. He tells Hulkling that Aim Island is under attack by people who want to disrupt things, destroy everything we've built, and we can't have that now. And obviously, next issue is the Demiurge Awakens. So hopefully we get a big battle between Demiurge and Billy Kaplan, or Billy Kaplan becomes a great supervillain. Hooray! We'll see what happens. Apparently, the death of magic is not affecting the space wizard of the fifth cosmos. So good for that. Mm-hmm. What's your next book? Oh, thumbs up on that. It was a very good read.
Okay. My next one's Astonishing Ant-Man number 4. Did you take a look at it at all?
No, I did not get the chance to.
Okay.
I didn't even know that Hercules came out, so I actually, if it wasn't on my pull list, I didn't even get the chance to look at anything else on the boards.
But yeah, it starts off with again we see a flash of Scott in prison again, and you know him looking at a picture of Cassie and saying being a hero is hard, but being your kid's hero is even harder. But then they flash back to the end of the last issue where remember the female Beetle showed up, and you know, Scott's like, oh, what are you doing here? And like, I guess she's a lawyer at a law firm in New York, she says, but she's like, she's taking a break, you know, she's taking a break from the law firm, and she's taking some chill time in Miami, and she says, do you want to help with the chill part? He says, what? No way, you're a supervillain. That thing that happened last time only happened because I thought the world was ending and my ex-wife yelled at me. And she's like, oh god, that's right, you're divorced. Gross. And Scott's like, it's not going to happen, so it's like, just you fly back out of town. He's like, or else I'll have to. And flash to him in bed with her.
Waka waka.
Yeah, so she's getting dressed, and he's like, how long are you going to be in town? And she's like, it's hard to tell. She's like, that's a good thing about being a high-priced lawyer. Those high prices mean you've got nice savings in the bank, plus all the stuff I stole. And she goes, who wouldn't want to skip out on work? And then it's when Scott remembers, oh god, I have a job, I'm going to be late. And she's like, so who's your client? And the one panel says, Scott's client, Darla Deering. And he goes, nobody. So he takes off. I guess Darla's at a charity basketball game, and she's yelling at him for being late. And then he's like, wait, I thought Smith and Grizzly were supposed to be here. Then they show Smith and Grizzly are a mile away at a dance club doing in a conga line. So,
Scott.
Yeah, but then Scott tells Darla he's gonna have to guard her at Ant's size because he sees Cassie's in the crowd. So, of course, he can't let her see. But I guess part of his payment for the gig is he wanted two tickets to the basketball game for Cassie because they show a flashback because, you know, he doesn't want her to know he sent the tickets, so he sent her the tickets with a note. Dear Cassie, pleased to inform you, due to your exceptional effort on the court, you are hereby awarded 2 tickets to next week's game. Sincerely, the president of basketball.
Yeah, apparently Cassie's stupid, too.
Well, not really, but...
Yeah, okay, no, I'm just saying. Yeah. Oh, the president of basketball. Yeah, no, it's okay. Or just Scott is, or doesn't have an exceptional amount of respect for his daughter's intelligence. I don't know.
But, yeah, and then we meet star basketball player Jalen Diggs, and, who Scott calls JD the rest of the issue. And then I guess Darla has a new boyfriend or something, Paul Shear. who the note says the Marvel Universe version of the comedian who co-wrote a story about Scott and Guardians Team Up 7. So I guess he's a real comedian.
Yeah.
But
well, he's obviously a friend of one of the comic book writers who is the who got written into the book. So there we go.
But then guess who comes and disrupts the game by mind controlling most of the people there?
Purple Man.
No, the Voice.
Voice?
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is.
I know he worked for the Red Skull for 2 seconds, but I know he was around back in the day. Basically, he's basically like the Purple Man. He can, whatever he says, people have to like obey.
Oh yeah, he's Dr. Faustus with a shortcut.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like, I don't know if he has some kind of technology or something.
Yeah, he's got Ant-Man's or not Ant-Man. He's got Egghead's tie from Superhero Squad.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's his iPod, I think, that had the. If you remember that episode where Egghead becomes mayor of Superhero City on Superhero Squad, it was with a sonic device that made everyone obey him.
So, yeah, I guess he was hired by the Lackey app.
Yeah. Oh, the Lackey app. Yeah, that's the rival app to Hench.
So, so basically, the Voice tells everyone in the crowd, all of you in the odd number seats, hate the even numbered people, so you want to kill them. He tells the two teams that start attacking each other and the referees, you want to destroy everything around you. Let chaos reign. So Scott's figuring out.
That's an insanely huge amount of power for someone to have. I mean,
yeah, I know. He just gets over the
and he's a B-rate supervillain. It's like, oh no, I can make every single person in an auditorium kill each other, sure, but how do I monetize it?
And it's like basically everyone in the crowd's going nuts except Cassie somehow escaped the effect.
Because her seat was 0.
She's like dumping Gatorade on one of the refs, and then she sees her dad, so that jig is up. But the basketball player JD, he's affected too, but at least they say he was wearing earplugs. He said it helps him focus, so he's helping Scott, and then the comedian tries to come at Scott, but Darla takes him out in 2 seconds.
Yeah. Does she use her thing rings?
Well, they just show her, all of a sudden she's in the thing suit, so.
Okay, yeah.
So Scott whizzes up to the booth and takes out the Voice pretty easily, and Scott's asking him, who hired you? He's like, was it the Slug, Hydra, Doctor Doom? He's like, don't write it down. He's like, don't say it, write it down. I'm not falling for that one. And the Voice says, no, it was him. It was Paul Scheer. And Paul Scheer's like, what, the Lackey thing? He's like, I thought it was a game, like Candy Crush or something. He's like, plus every time you use it, you get a Bed Bath & Beyond gift card. Which is weird. Yeah. So JD's like, let's hear it for Ant-Man, everyone. Let's get back to the fun. And then Casey comes up and is like, hi, Dad. So those two go for a walk on the beach to talk. And he's telling her about the job. She's like, oh, your stupid job. And he's like, my job got you those tickets. And she's like, oh my God, the tickets, they came from you. Unbelievable. I knew they didn't give awards for most technicals in a season. I knew it. And she's like, what? You don't care about my basketball? He's like, yeah, I do. She's like, you haven't shown up for a single game unless you have. She's like, you've been going ant-size and spying on me? She's like, holy bleep, are you serious? Do you have any idea how messed up that is? She's like, you're my dad. You're not supposed to be my stalker. And, he's all yada yada. It's not a good idea for me around you. You'll get hurt. And she's like, do you know how much it hurts to be sitting in a hospital waiting for your own father to show up and tell you it's going to be okay? To wonder every day what you did to make the most important person in your whole life run away from you? She's like, well, you don't have to worry about hiding anymore, because I'm telling you to stay away from me, Dad, for real this time.
Aww.
So Scott's like, yeah, being Casey's hero is all I've ever wanted in life. Heck, the only reason I even put on this suit in the first place was for her. Now it's the only thing that's pushing us apart. I'm halfway tempted to throw this helmet in the ocean. But then, who am I kidding? It's not the costume's fault. It's me. He's like, I didn't need a costume to become a burglar, to get sent away for years so my little girl had to grow up knowing what visiting hours are. I didn't need a costume to screw it up with her mom. He's like, but through it all, she still always looked at me like I was the greatest guy on the planet, until now. And then the issue ends with, I guess, who he's going to team up next issue with is, we see the new Giant Man chasing the unicorn.
Oh, yeah.
because I guess the unicorns robbed an armored truck, and he's like, "Let me explain it to you." He's like, "In San Francisco, unicorns take all the money and they never pay it back." And Giant Man's like, "Okay, I get the riff on startups with no clear path to monetization and high cash burn rates, but I really don't see what robbing an armored car has to do with it." And Unicorn's like, "Yeah, well, you're clearly new to this. Try to keep up." And he tricks Giant Man into trapping himself in the cables of the Golden Gate Bridge. So Giant Man's like, "This is embarrassing." And you see some text from Scott saying, "Being a hero, at least I'm not the only one who finds it a challenge." Yeah. The next issue, the all new, all different Giant Man. So,
yay, Giant Man! I liked his cameo in the Ultimates.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah. And I hope he gets to fight that Cthulhu eventually.
But I don't know, a lot of people acting dumb, but I'll still give this one a thumbs up. Yeah.
Okay. And since we had mind control on that issue, let's go to mind control in Ms. Marvel with Dr. Faustus. So we open up when last we left. Ms. Marvel had uncovered the plot of Dr. Faustus, who is looking very good, by the way. I have to say, the purple suit is quite slimming. And he clearly has lost a little bit of weight since we last saw him in Captain America. So good to see Faustus taking a little better care of himself. So basically Bruno is mind controlled, and Ms. Marvel is having none of it. She makes short work of the henchmen, but then she finds out that they've made the mind control nanites aerosol, so it doesn't need to be drunk anymore. Now it can be inhaled. Ms. Marvel somehow manages to avoid the inhalation, only to get shocked by Bruno, because of course he's mind controlled. She realizes she has to go out, so of course, tying to Ant-Man, she shrinks. She shrinks and runs away, and then grows, smashes her way out to get in touch with Mike, Bruno's girlfriend, because Bruno had told Ms. Marvel last issue that she has the key to his heart, but she didn't understand. And Ms. Marvel comes in, gets all superhero-y, looks like she grows 2 feet sort of to hide her identity. And then basically they have a nice girl moment where they both say about how worried they are about Bruno. She shows that she's got this thumb drive that has the code to access all of Bruno's research in the secret super scientist message board cloud thingy. They go there. They find that he did have an antidote, which is a protein that'll block the nanites. They produce a bunch on the 3D printer. This is a very well-equipped school in Jersey City, I gotta say that. Of course, what do I know? Maybe all high schools have 3D printers nowadays. My kids aren't in high school yet, I don't know. And then we go to the mind-controlled rally of Hydra, with everyone chanting about cleaning up Jersey City and how they're going to expand to all of Jersey City, when Ms. Marvel and Mike show up with spray bottles full of the protein that they've synthesized, and they start spraying everybody, which breaks them out of the spell. Bruno gets freed. Him and Mike share a hug, and then they realize that Dr. Faustus is trying to electrocute Ms. Marvel. Let's see here. And very interesting, Dr. Faustus has this line in here, just before he attacks Ms. Marvel. He says, "I didn't come back from the dead for this. You've made an enemy for life today, Ms. Marvel. You're in way over your head," and starts electrocuting her. And then they throw water on him, which of course causes they throw the proteins all over him, which sort of, I guess, short circuits his arm, or his electrode thingy that he was shocking Ms. Marvel with, to break him free. And then Kamala's friend, I'm forgetting her name, she comes up and starts, oh, isn't it convenient that now that they've been revealed as a Hydra plot, you say you're not with them, but your face is on the billboard. And I kind of get the feeling we're entering into the threat or menace phase of Ms. Marvel, where people are no longer trusting her. But very good issue. I liked it. I liked that it had a pretty good resolution. It wasn't too... It was very superhero-y, too. I felt it had a very superhero vibe, very adventure-y vibe, more than just being a teen romance comic as it sometimes can wax, which is fun when they do that, too. So I think that they're threading the needle pretty nicely on all this, especially with the love triangle with Bruno, Kamala, and Mike. But I did find it interesting that, Dr. Faustus makes the point, I didn't come back from the dead for this. So I don't remember Dr. Faustus dying, so that was very confusing for me. But, because the last we saw of Dr. Faustus, he, shaved his beard and went undercover, if I recall correctly. So that was back in Captain America, something or other. So thumbs up on Ms. Marvel. Pretty good book.
Okay, well, since you went Miss Marvel, I'll go to my pick of the week, Captain Marvel #1.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. It opens up with her in space with 3 people in ships. They're destroying some meteors that were coming towards Earth, and we see that the people in the 3 ships are Puck, Aurora, and Sasquatch of Alpha Flight.
Now is he Sasquatch in Sasquatch mode?
Oh yeah, he's in Sasquatch mode.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he turns back in this. I think the few times we see him, he's Sasquatch.
Maybe he's stuck in Sasquatch mode again.
Maybe. But then they flash back to yesterday when Carol's about to report for duty and she's talking to Jim Rhodes and he's like, I'm surprised you took this gig. I wouldn't have taken it. And he's like, I have enough problems on this planet. I don't need to leave the atmosphere from war. And he's like, you've been a member of a team, but now you're going to be the coach. That's different. And so I guess he's basically just worried about her. They're at the Triskelion, and I guess, I don't know if it's like a transport beam or something, but it looks like she's flying up like a path of energy to the space station.
Yeah.
But, so she's like, oh, he's worried about me. He's worried I won't like it. Oh, Rhodey loves me.
Yeah.
So yeah, she goes up to the AFSS, Alpha Flight Space Station. So she shows up, she's greeted by Puck, and he said he's excited to meet her, and he'll give her the tour, and then Abigail Brand shows up. She says, our celebrity is late for her meeting with the Eridani delegation, and she's like, Carol's like, thanks for having me on board, and Brand's like, don't thank me, this orbiting tin can isn't my problem, it's yours. And Puck goes, before you go, Cap, can I bug you for an autograph? It's for my sister. Then he stops and goes, it's for me. So Brand's giving her the tour. There's the spa, a gym, a meditation room, and Captain Marvel's like, what? You gotta be kidding me. And Brand's like, necessary upgrades, deploying for years away from family and friends and home, that's hard on normal people. And someone at the top of the command structure, I'd expect you to understand that. And Carol's like, Brand hates me. And then Carol runs into Rocket Raccoon. He says, me and the Guardians are on a pit stop before we deploy, just need some supplies. And Carol's like, so you're stealing a bunch of stuff? He's like, no, well, yeah. And she goes, I like you, Rocket, but as commander of the station, I feel that I can't let you steal a nuke. And he goes, Commander, the whole shebang, no kidding. He's like, weird. And she's like, why so weird? He's like, just so surprised. He's like, Captain Marvel doesn't take a desk job. Aren't you going to be bored? She's like, it's not a desk job. He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. It just seems like you should be out kicking butt with us, not locked up in a floating crock pot. Then Brand comes and gets her and says the delegation's waiting. Who I guess they're like they're the delegation's in charge of the sanitation for the station. So Carol's sitting there looking all bored while they're talking sanitation because they're trying to renegotiate their price. Because they're like, are we boring you, Captain Marvel, or would you prefer the Alpha Flight space station be as polluted as that planet you call home? And she's like, excuse me? And Brand's like, the captain's only just arrived and acclimating to her new position. Please don't be offended by her behavior. And Carol goes, you know what's offensive? Getting gouged on services that have been pre-negotiated a year ago. Nice to see the trash business in space is mobbed up too. And of course Brand freaks out, and then an ensign comes in and tells them about the asteroids coming. They'll be in range in 20 minutes. So Carol said she's going to take care of it, and Brand's like, Alpha Flight can take care of it. And she's like, Brand, you handle this negotiation. They like you better. Alpha Flight, assemble.
No, boy.
So, yeah, they're out taking care of the asteroids, and they destroy them. And then they showed her and Alpha Flight in the locker room later, which I guess is a co-ed locker room.
Yeah, well, we're all professionals.
Yeah. Might need
and,
room,
when you're dealing with aliens on the team, who knows how many genders they may have. You can't have everyone have their own locker room.
Yeah, I guess. And of course, yeah, so Carol's saying she has meteor dust in every crevice, and of course Puck's like, well, let me know if you need help with that.
Oh, Puck.
And then one of the science officer comes in and tells her that they got some weird readings from the asteroids, and because of the asteroid collision, because there was no collision, and they're saying the whole thing looked like it happened because one of the asteroids just looked like it exploded on its own, which sent everything flying. So Carol said she'll check it out later, but she's going to get some sleep. But then they show that she can't get some sleep. So she goes down to the gym, and Puck's there. And she says, when Puck's like, I would have thought 12 rounds with an asteroid field would have tuckered you out, Danvers. And she says, I feel like a sitting duck keeps me awake. I can't sleep either. Or she goes, you can't sleep either. And he says, don't sleep. He said, usually. Side effect of being bite-sized. Everything hurts. He says, just the way it is. Bonus of not sleeping is I get to take up new hobbies. I'll knit the hell out of scarf for you. So she's telling him that, Brand doesn't like her, and he says, why do you say that? She said, barely concealed hostility isn't usually lost on me. And Carol's like, it's obvious she wants my job, and Puck said she turned it down. So the science officer calls her again, and she basically, the scan showed there was an alien ship in the asteroid field, and she said, yeah, the scans match, the ship matches an alien species in our database, and guess who the scans match? It's the Iridians, who she was in negotiations with before, so they lock them up. And, yeah, so they're like, this is an act of war, and Captain Marvel's like, yeah, whatever, and then the alarm goes off, and she's like, yeah, I was worried this was going to be a boring test job, and they detect another alien ship on approach, so it's not an Iridian ship, so Carol says, wake up, Alpha Flight, and they go charging in. They're firing on her, but Captain Marvel takes out the ship, and then she rips open the door and goes in, and it's full of dead bodies. She says, this doesn't make any sense, and they're like, what do you see? And she says, it's me, and it's basically her symbol on the door, all scratched out, so what's going on?
I don't know.
But it was a good issue. Yeah, it was a good issue. We got Rob Southgate, we got Alpha Flight. Got to check this issue out. But like I said, big thumbs up. It's my pick of the week.
Okay, so very good. So moving right along, I don't have a direct tie-in to this one, although Captain Marvel is on the cover, but we're going to go to Patsy Walker, Hellcat. Sorry, Patsy Walker, a.k.a. Hellcat. Where we open up with Patsy Walker at her new day job, her survival gig as a employer at the Brooklyn Mall in the one-stop crop top shop, because apparently that's a thing. Anyway, so it's crazy people running around. The little kid who is wearing his Captain America underoos has taken off his pants. He's wearing a diaper, so it's okay. It's a very little kid. And basically people are running around being crazy. Some young girl asks if this crop top comes in leggings, and Patsy says, I don't know. Should it? Is that a thing? He goes, yeah, it is. Were you even born? It says the 90s. And he says, were you even born in the 90s? 1998. It's retro. To begin again. Anyway, the girls ask if she is Patsy of the Patsy Walker comic fame, and she's like trying to deny it. And then Ian comes up and actually they ask because they see that her name says Walker, I think, or something like that. And basically they realize that it is him, and she's trying to get Ian to not reveal her secret identity to everyone. They point out that Hetty, they reveal Hetty's. Sorry, they reveal that Hetty is basically being a jerk about the whole thing. As we know, Hetty has been publishing Patsy's Walkers, even though Patsy's old comics, even though she was supposed to let them go out of print. And then Patsy sees someone with a magic bag steal some stuff. Oh, we see her magic sense of tingling. And the person with the magic bag steals stuff, and then a chase ensues. She transforms into her Hellcat costume to chase the person down. And you see the person with the magic bag try to capture Patsy in the bag, and the girl says, "I can't wait to see the look on her face when I drop you at her feet." She says, "Just get in the bag. It'll be much easier than what she's planning for you." Says, "Which is what exactly? And who's she? I'm not great with vague." And the girl jumps into her magic bag, and the bag disappears. Patsy runs into Hetty, who is basically being decidedly evil, which is not how we usually see Hetty. This is much more of the Hetty from the comic books. Usually Hetty's a little more, outside of the comics, being a sort of a nicer friend to Patsy, but apparently they're back in their old Patsy and Hetty phase. Basically, she's saying she wanted to see if they could settle this dispute without the lawyers. Hetty makes the point that being able to fold someone in half doesn't really do you much good as a lawyer, with reference to Patsy's lawyer of Jen Walters. And Hetty's trying to work out something, but Patsy says, "I'm not talking to you again without Jen." And Hetty walks off, says, "Have fun with your midlife crisis. Chat soon." It says, "Maybe I will, you jerk butt. And I will whip you so hard next time." Meanwhile, she gets fired from this job. She calls in a bunch of friends, including, it says, America, Carol, Doreen, Jen, Kate, Monica, Velky. Although, I guess Carol doesn't show. Poor Carol. She's on the space station. Not really something she could leave, I guess. So, but they all go for Linda's Burgers. All the other superheroines are like, "You said it was an emergency." No, I just wanted to get burgers with my friends, and we never get together anymore. Squirrel Girl says, "As far as I'm concerned, not eating burgers is an emergency." And Spectrum says, "I want your problems." And Dorian says, "Oh, I also fight dinosaurs and stuff. And you know what? It works up an appetite." So they're eating, and then Valkyrie mentions, "It is strange that you would be hiring heroes for mortal work at this time." Because apparently they're talking about her new plan to open this business, and how there's lots of people who are very interested in it on all the face message book things, all the MySpaces. Apparently all the kids today are chatting about Patsy's idea, and sort of hench for good guys. But Valkyrie says, "There are rumors of our former enemy gathering others with gifts for villainous purpose." "Enemy, you're just telling me this now? I did not wish to alarm you until I was sure, but after your attack today, well, come on. I have not seen her for many years, but Cassiolena is back." And all the adult super heroines go, "Gasp!" And Hawkeye, America Chavez, and Squirrel go, "Wait, who?" Although, actually, isn't Squirrel Girl like... Oh, I don't know. Anyway, so... Cassiolena, and just because I just wikied her, Cassiolena served as a queen of her realm and a sorcerer of considerable skill. She has been shown to fare well in battle against the Enchantress and Doctor Strange. She drew to the particular ire of the Enchantress when she seduced her longtime consort, the Executioner. Later, the Defenders found themselves transported to Cassiolena's realm after their battle with the Nameless One. They were taken by surprise and quickly defeated by Cassiolina's forces, led by the Executioner and Fragon. They were placed in Castellana's dungeon, where they met the Black Knight, the Enchantress, and an insane Barbara Norris. The Enchantress transformed Norris into the Asgardian warrior, the Valkyrie, who helped the group escape and renew their attack on Castellana's forces. While the Valkyrie restrained Castellana, and she is unable to hurt a woman, the Enchantress blasted her with bolts of mystical energy, seemingly killing her. But also, dead no more. So anyway, so that's Castellana. Anyway, a fun book. And also, like I said, it's interesting, again, with threading these needles between this light, silly book and something that I think is going to get a little darker and maybe a little more dramatic as time goes on, much like Ms. Marvel, much like Squirrel Girl, who does that a lot. I think this book is definitely on track to do this. But really, really enjoyed Hellcat number Do. Thumbs up. Which I believe takes us to my pick this week.
Deadpool.
Yes. Deadpool.
Right? Deadpool number 6. Yep.
Deadpool number 6. Deadpool 2099. Yes. Which is, still
this one
80.
a little dark, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, that's what I liked about it. I mean, it's really 83 years in the future. And you know what's weird is nothing seems that unlikely to me. I don't know. I think in 83 years, robot flying horses breathing fire may well be a thing. I can totally see all of that. Yeah, well, because, once you make a flying horse, why not make it breathe fire, Or, once you start making, robot vehicles that are, why not design them to look like things, Because who wouldn't want a flying horse that breathes fire? And if you could make it look like that, why not make it look like that, It certainly would be intimidating. To open up, we have Deadpool 2090. Well, first off, we open up with someone in a dark mask and red cloak looking for Deadpool. And the person that she attacks is, you don't find Deadpool, she finds you. And when she finds you, she straight up deads you. Which is not a turn of phrase, straight up deads you. I don't know. Anyway, we see that Deadpool is being chased by the Nueva York Police Department. And hey, it's nice to see 2099 back in one piece for the most part. So hopefully that's going to be good news for good old Spider-Man over there, if he can figure out how to get over here. Anyway, they do battle. Deadpool is riding a flying robotic dragon. Her giant robotic dragon gets damaged. He says, "If this is my end, please don't res me." And she says, "You don't get to flatline." He's going 10110110. Which is an odd thing. I don't know why they have androids start talking in binary, because that doesn't necessarily make sense. But I guess it's just a nice little visual gag. Anyway, the NYPD seemed to have Deadpool cornered. She says, "I know you won't believe this, but I really don't like fighting cops. So I'll have my friends do it for me. Meet the Bobs." And we've got 5 Hydra Bobs, which is apparently Deadpool's henchmen. And we don't get to know their names, but I'm sure they all have wacky, interesting names, because one has a gigantic right hand, and one has big claws for hands, and one is a fat guy with a big laser gun. So, battle ensues, and then we cut to C-SPAN 2099, where the Texan senator at the Roxxon Capitol building. So maybe this isn't Miguel's 2099, because apparently Roxxon is in charge of this world, not Alchemex. So, but it shades of idiocracy in this. It's very nice. And the senator says, "I think we're all interested in how this disaster came to be. You, sir, have been subpoenaed by Congress, if you please." "Well, I'm just a weatherman, but it seems that they're talking about Hurricane Jose. Hurricane was such a deadly force because the oceans are superheated." And he says, "You misunderstand my meanings. Who named the storm a foreign name, Jose? I remind you, you're under oath. The National Hurricane Service, it was the letter J's turn, and I propose we defund this multi-ethnic atmospheric cabal." "Seconded," says another senator. "Motion carried," says the guy wearing a red, white, and blue tuxedo. Uh, breaking news, the Science Committee has just defunded the National Hurricane Service. Whether or not this has any effect on hurricanes remain to be seen. But hurricanes will keep coming. Now we just won't see them. We'll have no warning. Well, we'll see about that now, won't we? Yes, and we cut to Deadpool, who is very old now, which makes sense because it is 83 years in the future, wearing bunny slippers and chained to a filthy couch as he's forced to watch C-SPAN. Deadpool 2099 returns and says, "Are you enjoying today's C-SPAN?" He says, "The first couple of years I wanted to commit suicide, but now I'm going to like it." Says, what the hell are you doing here anyway? She says, "That's no way to talk to your daughter." Says, "I have no daughter." And she says, "And I have no father." She takes off her mask and we see that she's got a semi-messed up face, but not nearly as messed up as Deadpool's, quite frankly. Yeah, and says, "You never wanted me to be your father, Sikla." She says, "I'm Warda, you old idiot. Sikla was my mother. All this could end. You just tell me what I need to know. I can't tell you what I don't remember. You would have dug it out of me by now. You've hooked me up to machines, telepath drugs. You're after Jimmy Hoffa." And she says, "I don't know who that is." He says, "I can't remember either." Ha! Maybe another couple weeks of C-SPAN and you'll change your mind. She says, wait. Perhaps Preston knew. We had a falling out by then, but she was a spy. No, out of the question. She could certainly keep secret. Preston, she might know. I just can't remember what I was so mad at her for. This is all your fault. Even my face is your fault. And I'm going to keep punishing you until you tell me where my mother is. Then we do a flashback to Deadpool in crazy battle armor battling Sikla and a bunch of monster with looks like some other superheroes by his side, some SHIELD agents. Says, "I'm sorry, Warda. She's ancient history, kid. Everything went to hell when she died. I lost it. Your mother and I had our differences over the years. This was different. You know, when it's over, you blame me, I blame her. Maybe we're all to blame." Says, "What do you really want? To hurt you as much as you hurt us. You shouldn't use the name Deadpool. It's cursed. Nobody is coming for you. Nobody even knows you're alive. C-SPAN on repeat. Damn you to hell. Security measures enabled. And the budget crisis won't resolve itself." And he's crying and he says, "Ellie, poor sweet Ellie, I'm so sorry." Then he sort of has a bit of a moment there and he says, "And then, if the environment is the problem, we'll just get rid of that agency too. And oh good, my programs are about to start. The Texan makes sense. Why doesn't everyone listen to him? We already got rid of those agency senators. The others just want to spend and spend. Here's the money." And we see the Rose is giving money to the Bobs. And the Rose in this universe has an actual head of a rose, or maybe that's just her mask. I guess it's a hollow mask. And then the person in the black suit from the beginning of it takes out the Bobs in rapid fashion. And one of the Bobs betrays Deadpool, says she has a subterranean lair called the Metropolis. That's how you can find Deadpool. I won't tell her you were here. It says, on the contrary, I want Deadpool to know I'm coming. To be continued. Really enjoyed this. I like, like I say, it has its humor, but it has that darkness. And I think that is really, to me, what really sells Deadpool. It's that idea that we're going to have utter darkness and we're going to make light of it. We're going to have fun in the darkness. And really, Deadpool, I mean, if you can imagine, and really for Deadpool, is that not, someone had made this point about Wolverine, but it's all the more exasperated in Deadpool, is that, yeah, he has a slowed aging process. That means that he's going to be in that demented state for like many years longer than your average human. And of course he wasn't all there to start with. So, but the fact that he's been driven mad by his daughter and he was pretty much crazy to begin with. And it's, it's to me, it's moving and it's powerful and it's very interesting. So I really enjoyed the new Deadpool, although apparently I'm coming in halfway in the middle of the secret comic, because I got the secret comic variant cover where he's fighting the UPC code for some reason. And next issue, they have to go to a time before comics had UPC codes. So, can't wait to see what that is.
Yeah, the next one is the, I think Deadpool's, 25th anniversary issue. Just warning everyone, I think this is another $9.99 book.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be another giant one.
Yeah. Oh boy, Deadpool, you're not worth $9.99. I'm just telling you right now, buddy. I could buy Days of Futures Past for that amount. Oh, okay.
All right, is that it then?
That's all the books I got.
All right. Well, everyone, what are your thoughts? Are we right? Are we wrong? What books aren't we reading that we should? You can email us at marvelroundup@gmail.com. On Facebook, we're All New Marvel Roundup. And on Twitter, we're at Marvel_Roundup. And Charlie, where can people find you?
Well, you can always find me on the Twitters, where, although I did not get to live tweet Agent Carter this week because I got home late and it got crazy, I will normally be live tweeting Agent Carter at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality. And of course, you can always write to me on superconnectivity. You can write to me, email me at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. Yes, that.
All right. And as for me, you can always talk to me anything Marvel or DC. Especially, let me know how I'm going to be doing as the upcoming Legends of Tomorrow correspondent for Lilith Hellfire's Channel 52 podcast. You can email me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com, and on Twitter, I am at nightwingpdp.
How was Legends of Tomorrow? Because I missed that.
All right.
Dude, that's like running opposite of Agent.
Good. I mean, no, it's Thursday night. It's Thursday night.
Oh.
No, it's good. There's just a lot of characters in it, but it's good. So, is that it then?
That's it.
All right. Well, come back next week, everyone. Join the fun. And remember, Deadpool's the most expensive man in the Marvel Universe. Good night.